When Michael was just a child, her father suddenly killed her mother and went to prison. Social services, taking Michael away, were shocked to find that the parents had kept their daughter in a cage for some reason. Many years have passed since then. Michael has grown up and has almost forgotten everything that happened to her as a child. Or rather, she thinks so. In fact, the past often comes back to her at night. The girl sleepwalks and draws some mysterious sign with her own blood. Witnessing this behavior is Michael's roommate, Charlie, who one day to her misfortune decides to figure out what's going on. While researching the filmography of puppeteer director Brandon Christensen, I spent quite a while trying to remember if I'd seen two of his previous films, the mystical horror Z, in which a young boy's creepy imaginary friend terrorized his family, and the satirical thriller Superhost, about a strange girl who hosts a couple of video bloggers in her home. As it turns out, I had, but the fact that memories of these movies had to be recovered literally in bits and pieces speaks volumes. And the saddest thing is that The Puppetman will join those movies. It's a movie that does everything it can to sneak into a far corner of your memory right after the end credits start, lock itself away and put up a Do Not Disturb sign. That's unfortunate, because at its core, The Puppetman has a relatively original concept that, with the right approach, could have launched a successful franchise. In order not to spoil the key plot twist, we will not analyze the script in detail, limiting ourselves to general words. The authors came up with a villain and a curious mechanism of his interaction with the world around, but they didn't work enough on this world, so there's no connection to the characters or fascination with the story itself. The rules of the game are very vague and shaky. They are constantly being adjusted to the needs of the script, and the characters are so formulaic and flat that they can only be interesting from the point of view of how exactly they will die. Interestingly, these deaths are the main virtue of The Puppetman and its only chance to hook the viewer. Comparatively harmless in its first hour, in the third act the movie increases its drive and explodes with a series of brutal murders in the spirit of Final Destination. Energetic final half an hour, though not completely, but at least to some extent compensate for the accumulating disappointment and boredom. But even so, in the end, The Puppetman is still disappointing. After all, a horror movie is not just a series of bloody shocking scenes, it has to have a story of vulnerable and weak protagonist who is trying to defeat in an unequal battle something powerful and dangerous, and through this weakness and vulnerability, close and understandable to any person, the viewer is sucked into the story and sees the nightmarishness of the situation as if from the first person. But Michael is one of the most bleak, inarticulate and apathetic horror heroines of recent years, who doesn't earn your sympathy but demands that you must empathize with me, because I feel bad. Except that empathy in movies is born not from traumas, but from the way the heroes overcome them.